So hi, today we'll be looking to this question, Retry and Exponential Backoff, right? So what is this particular question? So in this, the particular problem statement revolves around that whenever we do a API or network request, uh, it can fail temporarily due to some network issues, server load, or any transient errors, right? So rather than instead of failing it immediately, we should give it a operation limited number of we should give it a retry based on a given number of times, right? Uh, the retry function should accept any async function and its arguments, and if the request is success, return the result immediately, or else we can fail the and if the request fails, we give it a retry and try it again, right, until our retries are over. So there are two things. So over here it says that avoid retrying continuously because it increases load of an already struggling server. So this is another problem statement that we will discuss post at the first simple retry logic, and the main thing is the utility should be generally reusable, not tied specifically to fetch, right? So if we see uh, this question asks us that we need to create a function or a promise or something in such a way that whenever we call that particular promise or function with given whatever function given callback or and retries, we are able to use it generically and implement it in our API call use cases, right? So that we don't fail the request on the first retry, and we give it a limit so that it can be retried again and again. And this is a very real life use case. If you would be working in some projects, you would be seeing when there are a lot of mappers that have been created, right? So in service files or somewhere you will go and check. If you will go and check, you will find this retry logic have been implemented manually, or you would have used some sort of a third party library, right? This is a very common interview question, and we should be very much prepared with it because it checks your basic logic and knowledge of functions, async await promises and all, right? So yeah, so the first thing is simple fetch with retry, right? So what simple fetch with retry does is, over here we are giving it a function and a retry as an argument. So whenever this fetch retry will be called, it will take a function as an argument and a retry. Okay, now as I said, right, over here it should be reusable and generic, and we can also pass arguments. So we will be creating this particular function will be returning a asynchronous function. So any asynchronous function is basically promise and all, right? So this will be returning a promise in which we'll be sending this args, or whatever arguments we need to send, and now the main logic starts, right? So in this for loop you can see we are sending giving it we are looping over the number of retries that we are having, right? So over here we are having 3 retries, so we are looping over it, and we are doing a try and catch. In try, we are checking, okay, if we are getting a response on our first call, right, we will return with it, else we will catch the error, and until our retries are exhausted, we will try it, and post that we will throw the error, है ना? So over here a simple for loop works, and this try and catch is implemented. So it is pretty easy. So let us run it once. Okay, yeah. So this is the implementation of fetch with retry, and this is our simple fetch data function which hits a custom general API and throws error and all, right, returns a response. So this is very much clear. This should be very much clear to you. This is a synchronous function. We are calling fetch as an await because fetch is a promise. We need to await it, or you can use then and catch. It's all upon you. Then we have this fetch add function which will be initialized to fetch retry with the function that we need to call. Callback function will be fetch data and the number of retries. Okay, now this fetch retry returns us a asynchronous function which in turn results as a promise. So fetched would be a promise. So we need to pass some custom argument. It's totally upon us, so I took a custom argument. It will be just consoled over here, so no issues on that. And then data, whatever data we are calling, if it is getting resolved, we will throw the data, or if it is getting error, we will throw the error, right? So let's just check this. So as you can see here, when we call this, this fetched function has been called, and it went over here, and it showed that okay, it is the first attempt. We are calling our fetch data, and fetch data in hand is calling retry. Calling retry is this particular thing that string we are passing to this fetched as an argument. So it is an unsuccessful retry. So okay, we will go here and we will loop it again. We will do the second try. Okay, second try also failed, just with the last try, and the third attempt it didn't work. So it so it tried it, like we tried it 1 2 3 times, and post that it didn't return. So we are returning whatever the error we have with this API, right? So this is a simple retry question, and it is very much simple for loop sort of a logic. And now coming to exponential backoff. So where does exponential backoff come into play? Okay, you have seen here, right? This retry logic, like what it did nothing major, right? It just called this this callback function or API in multiple retries at once. But why we implement fetch retry is there could be something where there would be a network issue or a server overload, and if there is a server overload, we need not to call this API at the same time only, right? We need to give it some sort of a delay, so that server gets some time to reply to or respond to our API call, right? So for that, in this situation, we will be using exponential backoff. So exponential backoff, what it does, till here it is correct, right? We take a callback, we give it a retry, and we give it a delay. So we give it a delay, and why the name exponential backoff? It is simply clear that we need to delay our API call exponentially. Delay API call exponentially, or in a manner that it is not called in one go, right? So this is what we have to implement. Till here, so we are using this fetch exponential backoff. We are creating this fetch exponential backoff function. We are implementing simple try and catch. Again, same logic, right? If you see here, console.log, we await our function. We are awaiting our function. I am not passing any argument over here, so like it is a simple function only. You don't need to worry about that. If await function, if response is not okay, we throw the error. Okay, error is encountered, else we return the response, right? This is important because it will give a early return. Then catch, if there is an error. Now the main retry logic comes over here. If there is an error, what will happen is, what we ideally need to do is, we need to give the delay, right? To give the delay, we are using this promise, so that we can give it a delay using set timeout. Why we are using promise? If you are aware of how JavaScript works, whenever a promise is encountered in a code, right? So JavaScript stops its execution unless this promise is executed completely. So this promise will only be executed when this delay will be over, right? When set timeout would execute. When set time would execute, eventually this promise will executed, and post that this return would happen. So here we are calling this recursively. We are using the same function. We are decreasing the retry because one time the API failed, or one retry went off, right? Now we are increasing a delay and doubling it, I'm not using any power function over here because it will cause a lot of delay, and like we don't want to wait that much as of now. But you can use math.power or some sort of other functionality, whatever you want to give to delay the API call. Now every time there is an error, we get to over here and this starts failing, right? So the base condition when this will not fail is, okay, all the retries are over, now we need to throw error because post every API call we are not able to get any final answer, so we need to return with our error. So that is simple. Let's check this how it works. So as you can see here, we did have 3 retries over here. On the first retry, okay, our retry count was 3, delay was 1000 that we have given over here. Post that our retry was 2, second retry delay 2000, our retry was 1 and delay 4000, because we are multiplying the delay into 2, right? So it is doubling the delay on each call. So that this is the reason why we do exponential back-off, so that our like servers don't get overloaded at once and they get time to respond to each and every request. So that's all from my side. Thanks.